From a new tight ends coach to predicting the remainder of the men's basketball season, there's a lot of stuff to talk about on this episode of the Locked On Louisville podcast. So let's get right on into it.
You are Locked On Louisville, your daily podcast on the Louisville Cardinals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back into another episode of the Locked On Louisville podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. I serve as a credential media member for Cardinal Sports Zone. I also do some PA announcing work for the University of Various Sports. I want to take this time to personally thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, the Locked On Louisville podcast is free on all streaming services, including YouTube, 5 days a week, your team every day. As always, it's a special Wahman Wednesday edition of the show. Cardinal Sports Zone co-founder and current editor Jeremy Wahman joins the virtual set. Jeremy, what's going on, man?
CardinalSportsZone.com, baby. That's what's going on.
I hear you. There's a lot of stuff.
Season's right around the corner, too. I know we'll probably talk about that next week, but, man, ordered my hat. Got it in the mail, looking really fly. I love it.
That's a pretty dope hat.
If y'all buy this hat from Fanatics, it's I got a big old noggin, and this is still like a whole half size too different. So order if you wear like a 7.5, order a 7 1/4. Sorry, not trying to get.
No, it's a dope. It's definitely a dope hat. But I'm ready for a pretty dope show. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about. We'll start out with Nic Cardwell is the new Louisville tight ends coach. We'll talk about what he brings to the table. We'll also predict the remaining games on the schedule for the Louisville men's basketball team. And then, as always, I like to do this a little more, is incorporate the mailbag segment into this special show. We'll start out with Nic Cardwell. It was announced on Tuesday that he is the new tight ends coach, or reports were saying that he's the new tight ends coach. I'm not sure if it was officially announced by the university yet or not, but seemingly all signs are pointing to him. He's a guy that has spent time at Louisville as a quality assistant, has spent time at Appalachian State under Scott Satterfield and under Frank Clark as a tight ends coach and an offensive line coach. Jeremy, when you saw this hire come out, what were your initial thoughts?
Well, if I'm being honest with you, I didn't think this position was going to get filled. I thought that from everything I'd heard behind the scenes, just the other coaches were kind of like with I think we're also got a special teams position that we didn't fill that I think will be divvied upon another coach. And I just assumed Lance Taylor was going to have this position under his wing. I like the intensity that Nic Cardwell brings to the team. He's got the familiarity. He's been here. How many seasons was he here? Just 2019, 2020 season. And then he's got a couple seasons he spent with Scott Satterfield as well. So the best part about it is that he's familiar with the process and the whole scheme of things here. So I do like that. I don't think you needed to make a splashy hire here because this was a position that most people just assumed wasn't going to get filled. So I like it.
I like it as well. I was a little bit torn just because when I initially heard the hire, I should say, not officially, I was like, okay, well, he was a quality assistant at Louisville, and then he served as an offensive lines coach. And then I went back and saw his resume. He's coached tight ends like multiple times. It's not like a continual thing. Like he's been a tight ends coach, and he's done something else, been a tight ends coach again. So he's kind of coming back to where he started out his career at App State as a walk-on tight end and caught a couple touchdown passes as a player, and then got to be a coach. I think that this also, what we can't overlook is the fact that when he was at App State under Frank Clark, the offensive line plays really well. The tight ends block extremely well. I think that that's one thing that comes into play is the cohesiveness of being a offensive line coach, but also a tight ends coach as well. Kind of a jack of all trades, so to speak. I think that it bodes well for our guys as blockers. Really, I love what this, could spell for guys that, block well, but are looking to kind of tap into their receiving in guys like, Vic Mullen, Christian Peterson, Francis Sherman, Isaac Martin, etc. For Marshawn Ford, like you said, this isn't necessarily, a big time a big time like splash hire, but nor does it really need to be. Does this hire, in your opinion, kind of lead you to believe that we could be seeing more of a blocking role from Marshawn Ford in kind of the true tight end sense, or do you think that they kind of say, you know what, he's still our H-back, he's our, jack of all trades, we'll put him wherever?
I think it would be really easy for you to assume the first of those two, that this means Marshawn would be focusing more on blocking, but I just think he's too talented to be regulated as just to be cast as one row. We've seen that he blocks phenomenally. He gets down the field and makes catches that other guys in his position haven't for a while here anyway made. So like I said, I like this addition. He was here with these. It's not like he was a guy that was here 4 or 5 years ago when none of these other guys were here. He knows these guys, and he's one of the most like. I hated, even though my guy got the job, I hated losing Mike Sirianni because he was one of the guys that got everybody riled up. But guy number 2 was Nic Cardwell, and he just, there were some games where you would look out on the field and he would just be going insane. And that's what we need. We need people to pump us up. Ben's going to pump us up. I know we're not talking about him right now. I am, though. And I think these two are going to be make a good 1-2 punch as far as motivating the team. But to your initial question, I think that Marshawn is going to. I don't think he's going to change I don't think his roles will change.
I wonder, for Scott Satterfield in the decision-making process, if Cardwell was not interested in this opportunity, I wonder if they would have left it unfilled. I wonder if it's one of those things where it's like, he's a Satterfield guy. He's, coached under Satterfield. He brings the intensity. I wonder if Cardwell doesn't accept the position, if they leave this open for Lance Taylor to handle. I think that this is really kind of sad, just, betting on his guy, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think you're right on that, because when I was told Lance Taylor was getting the job, which was about 4 days before it was announced, I was told that tight ends was going to be part of his duties. I said duties. Sorry. Beavis and Butthead coming out here. But I was told that was going to be one of his responsibilities, was the tight ends as well. So I think what happened is that Sat was talking to his guy. His guy was like, man, I want to come back. Or, one of those situations. And I don't know what I have no, I'm not privy to any information on this like I am other things I speak on, but it could have just been something just like, oh yeah, man, if you ever need a guy to do this, I'm your guy. Oh really? Well, we do have a spot open. Oh crap. Well, okay. Because he'd already left App State to come to Louisville, and then left Louisville to go to App State. Now he's leaving App State to go back to Louisville. So I don't know. Again, I wasn't in the room when it was discussed this time. Joking, but yeah, I just I think this was a familiarity situation, a situation of familiarity, and I think it was just like, hey, I know you can do this. We have a spot. If you're interested, come take it.
That's kind of where my head is at as well. I want to take this time now. I want to see where your head is at in terms of the remaining basketball schedule and predicting the last 6 games of the season. Okay, wise guy. But we'll do that here.
Look, here's how I want you to do it, though. Yeah, in a second, I just want you to name the day we're playing and the team we're playing, and I will give you my first reaction, my first response to that.
Okay, we'll do that. But here, let's talk about Built Bar before we do that. Look, it's the time of the year that a lot of people have kind of given up on their New Year's resolutions, but not this year. Especially for myself, I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right thanks to Built Bar. It almost feels like it's not really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating them. And if you haven't tried the Puffs, you're simply missing out. They're the first ever protein-infused marshmallow, fluffy, marshmallowy, whatever adjective you want to use to describe them. They're not just a protein bar. They're a treat. They're covered in 100% real chocolate, as are all of the Built Bars. They're low-calorie, high in protein. So you can replace your candy bars with these and not really get a drop-off in taste, but get an absolute upsurge in healthiness and stuff like that. There's so many different flavors to choose from between mint brownie, coconut almond, cookies and cream, etc. Do yourself a favor. Go to Built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off your order. Once again, that's use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. So, transitioning over into the second segment, Cardinal Sports Zone co-founder Jeremy Wahman in the set with us today for this Wahman Wednesday edition of the show. 6 games remaining for the Louisville men's basketball team. They are back in action tonight at home against the Miami Hurricanes, a team that is trying to compete for an ACC regular season championship. We'll start out with this one, Jeremy. Tonight, February 16th, 7 o'clock p.m., 2022. What's your prediction for this one?
Loss.
Okay. Next one. I think this one's probably one of those to where it's like, this one feels like more of a loss than any of them, in my opinion. I think that Miami's the best team in the conference. I have enjoyed watching them play, game in, game out. I've actually made it, a point to try to watch them game in, game out. Is there any fluctuating there? Is this kind of a toss up for you, or are you kind of pretty much set on a loss here?
Loss.
There you go. Next one up, Saturday, February 19th, at home again, 3 o'clock Eastern time against the Clemson Tigers.
Loss.
Okay.
You know that actually we're favored against Miami.
That's interesting. I actually think we're going to beat Clemson. I think that this is one of those teams to where I think that the team gets.
Let's just break this down real quick. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. We've
You're
got guys getting kicked out of practice every single week, every day, almost every practice. It's gotten to a point now where the guys that have been the entire time have been guys that I've been told have been soldiers. They're doing everything that they're supposed to. They're even getting frustrated and getting in trouble now. There's no connection between. People thought, oh, well, let's get rid of Chris Mack and Pegues. Well, he can connect with the kids. There's no connections. There's a busy signal going on right now in the Louisville locker room. So when you got the good guys that are getting in trouble, the bad guys that are getting in trouble, not that any of them are bad people. I'm not like casting the shade of a villain on anybody. But there's obvious problems in this locker room, and the only thing that is going to heal this is when they finally announce our new head coach. That's been in waiting for about 2.5 weeks now. Spoiler. But, yeah, even with Clemson, like that's the one that I think we have the closest we have the best chance. Actually, yesterday morning when I checked this, we were at 61%. Now we're at 54%. So it is going down. Let's see the line. -2. Does that make you the favorite if you're at -2? Okay, so Miami's the favorite betting wise. Percentage prediction wise, we're the favorite. So, and it's at home, so that's normally so basically they're saying this is a pick'em game because I think the home team gets 3 points just for hosting, if I understand that correctly. So yeah, I just sorry, I didn't mean to get off of Clemson there, but even the percentages are going down. We were higher favored yesterday than we are today. So I'll let you go ahead and continue with Clemson. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I just wanted to share.
No,
that.
You're fine.
Our Clemson odds. Our Clemson odds are now 51.9 to 48.1. So we've.
Are you looking at the ESPN BPI?
Yeah, the BPI.
I will say, just to play the devil's advocate, we were actually favored BPI to beat Kentucky in football. So BPI,
right.
FBI, BPI. There is I think that it's a little flawed. There are some things to be said, with spreads and stuff like that. I do think that Louisville does get the win against Clemson. I think that even with some of the turmoil, I think Louisville's more talented. I think that if there is a game that this team is going to win in the remaining 6, this is going to be the one. But since it seems like every single one of the next 4 games after that, in your opinion, are going to be a loss, I'll kind of switch it to this. Of the next four, you have at North Carolina, at Wake Forest, at Virginia Tech, then you come home to Virginia for Senior Day. Of those four, are there any that you see the Cardinals do having a chance in?
Just Virginia. I think Virginia's our best chance of getting the win out of those four. Going further into the schedule, man, North Carolina's at 87. Like, we have a 13% chance of winning the North Carolina game. We have a 13.5% chance of winning the Wake Forest game. And the most dominant, which is a team in the league that has been on fire as of late, Virginia Tech, we have a 10% chance. So they're predicting that Virginia Tech beats us worse than any of the other teams. I would have to go, if you ask me out of these last 6 games, we've only really got a shot at 2 of them, and that's Virginia and Clemson. And I think both of those beat us by 5 or more.
That's fair. I think North Carolina is one of those to where we could lose by a considerable amount. Wake Forest, even though we beat them the first time around, I think that they're trending in the right direction. It's probably a loss in my opinion. I feel better honestly about Virginia Tech and Wake Forest than I do Virginia. Virginia's always been our kryptonite. Now make it to that point. I never feel good about Virginia. Like I go into that game thinking we're going to lose by 10 points. And it's going to be 46-36 or 36-26 or 26-16.
And I have no idea why these percentage, like we're favored like 51-49 against Virginia. And then you look at their record, they're like 7 games over 500. There's really no rhyme or reason why they think that we're going to win that game other than it being maybe you get points for Senior Day percentage. I don't know how the betting stuff works. I was taught the year that Florida State and Louisville played, I think we were a 1-point favorite, and that's when it was explained to me, well, the home team gets 3 points. Then we ended up beating about 152. But that's all I know about the betting stuff. But I just don't like normal. That goes to show you how much my pride has been beaten down, because I would never, ever predict this long of a losing streak. But we are in danger of losing the last 12 games of the season. Well, I mean, does everybody make the ACC tournament this year? Because I know
yes.
Because the last couple of years there's been. I didn't think the last 2 teams got in. Maybe I'm thinking about it differently.
Sometimes they've gotten. The only times you don't get in is if it's you get like rolled out for the postseason.
Okay, for some reason I thought differently, but nevertheless, we could end up losing the last 12 out of the last 13 games with the one win. Maybe we would win a game in the ACC tournament. I don't even know who we'd be matched up with if we were the last team in the league.
Probably like Boston College or somebody like really bad.
We might be able to be. I just don't know, man. I haven't knowing what I know as far as, and we talked to cheap plug here, but we talked to Alvin Sims on Sunday on the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast, and just me being around that team, there was some turmoil behind the scenes. I won't put the man's business out there, or the team's business, should I say, but they had a lot of off-the-court stuff, but they never let it show on the court. T. Will's team, lots of, just some illegal stuff going, not like eligibility illegal, but just turmoil going on off the court. And the only time they ever let that show on actually with T. Will and them, a lot of the times, the more crap they got into off the court, the more it fired them up on the court. Only one game did T. Will ever let any of those guys, and that was against Michigan State. He was just really, really flat, and we got suit on that game. But these guys don't know how to keep the things off the court. And you can see it every game. I've never been the kind of guy that sits here and just names players and downs them and degrades them, so I won't start now. But you got guys getting blown by subpar athletes, and they're just sitting there watching. I saw a guy that was actually trying to defend. I'll go ahead and give him a little bit, because people did give him a little bit of crap last game, but with Malik, he had a guy that made a move on him and got by him. And there's a guy underneath the rim just watching. not even trying to pick up the defensive assignment, just sitting there watching them just go to the basket. There were 4 or 5 other times during the game with different players. Nobody was helping. There's just too much, and trust me, I love a lot of the guys on this team, and none of them do I sit here and I despise you for being on the team. I'm not that type of dude. But what I will say is, like, I do talk to a couple of the players, and they just don't know what in the world is going on. And and the ones that I talk to are some of them that I've been told by other people were following the rules, working hard in practice, following the letter of the law. And when they don't even know what's wrong, they don't know why. I mean, we got 2 players on our team right now. And again, I'm not going to name names, that should be phenomenal on the court and look like somebody has went inside their head and flipped off their basketball switch. And, for the majority of the season, let me say that, because they have both showed out a couple times during the season. But I just don't know how you put it all back together. You sit here, you lost your coach, you don't like your current coach. Those coaches are getting into it all the time. They're getting into it with you. Like, it's just not a good look, man. And I'm sorry to have rambled on, but it's just not a good look. And I don't know how they can pull a win. And I hope you prove me wrong. I hope you win the last 6 games in a row.
Oh, we all do.
Go on to the ACC tournament and prove me wrong. Like, that's the one thing about being somebody that talks about sports for a living. Your opinion can always be wrong. That's why it's an opinion. But at the end of the day, and especially with sports, you never know when you're going to get the good bounce. As Louisville fans, we know that better than almost anybody. You got games where we can't miss from the 3, and you got games where we can't hit from the 3, and then we try a little more to hit, and then we miss a little more. So it's just that's really what I had to say about that. I apologize for taking up so much time. I know that, but
you're all good.
But no, I don't see it. I don't. Loss.
Well, hopefully it's win. But we will definitely see. It starts tonight. That streak against Clemson, Miami, at the KFCM Center tonight. I want to take this time now. We'll hop into the mailbag. There's some good questions that I want to have Jeremy answer. We'll talk about that here in just a second after we talk about our friends at BetOnline. Look, football might be over with for the season, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is your number one spot for all of your sports betting needs. It remains the best spot for all of your overall sports scores, podcasts, and news. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your source for hockey, boxing, UFC, right to the Olympic coverage and information. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline is where the game starts. Final segment, we are going to dive into the mailbag. I've had a couple people ask me questions for this week's mailbag, not knowing that Jeremy was going to be conducting it rather than myself, just because there was some programming issues for Monday, so we weren't able to have a Monday episode. So I saved it for Wednesday. The first question is, Jeremy, with the...
Yes, I actually know everybody I say I know. Oh, that wasn't the question?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's with the university hiring the search committee last week. When do you think that the hire is made / announced for whichever candidate comes?
That's what I think about the search firm that really just is there for no reason. The candidate has been selected. The smoke has come from the pillars. That will be done. But with all that being said, I would say so. The search firm thing threw everything for a loop. That was not something that was expected to happen. We're having money issues as a university anyway, and there wasn't really any sense in hiring a search firm when you've already got somebody that you like, that you pretty much have been like, all right, we're going to do this. But with that being said, I thought this was going to be announced 2 weeks ago. Search firm stuff come up last week. Well, I say 2 weeks, about 10 days ago, and then the search firm information stuff come out, and that's just kind of put this all in a holding pattern. I would say within the next 10 days. I think that we're going to hear back probably this week. This is Tuesday, or I'm sorry, Wednesday. Well, Wednesday. So by the end of next week, we'll hear something back from the committee, the search party, or whatever you want to call it. And then the next week, they'll name the coach. But I fully expect this to all be wrapped up by the end of the regular season.
There you go. The next question is this is a Kenny Payne based question, and I feel like I have to answer this all the damn time. To be completely honest with you, it is. We've seen first time head coaches that have been an alumni of a program that have played for a program have not necessarily panned out the way the university thinks they should have. What makes Kenny Payne different than other athletes that have come to their alma maters and become head coaches for the first time? Or what could make Kenny Payne different, I guess, because you know what I'm saying.
Well, first off, a lot of those other situations that you bring up, those guys had never been head coaches before. The most recently I can remember, Juwan Howard. I mean, I don't think he had coached before Michigan. I think he just hopped up off the street coaching. So Kenny there's this misnomer that he's just like Penny Hardaway, but he's not. Penny Hardaway was a high school AAU coach for 4 or 5 seasons, and then was gifted the job at Memphis. Kenny was at Kentucky for 15, 16 years. Been with the Knicks for 4 or 5 years. I don't know exactly the amount of time, but for 20 years, this dude has been doing it. Maybe not at the highest level as far as coaching, but an assistant during the time when Calipari first got here, and Kentucky was more relevant than it has been the last 10 years. Kenny was the assistant coach of Kentucky, and in a lot of circles, that job held more prestige than maybe jobs 27 through 312 in Division I. So he's done this at a high level. The other day, I think it was Dalton. I think you sent us a list of all the draft picks he's responsible for, and that list was just ridiculous. But again, the thing that so the comparisons between let me get back on the right track here. The comparisons between Penny and Kenny are just people that are wanting to say, oh, look, we got 2 guys that look alike and are coaches, so we'll just say they're all the same. No, they're not. They're neither one of them are similar outside of being coaches. So, but what would make Kenny different? He's got the connections. He's got the city support. He's got Milt and Daryl and Junior and all those guys. Jonathan Blue. I mean, you want to talk about bringing money into just with Junior Bridgman. I mean, I think he's pretty close to being a billionaire himself. I could be wrong, but he's got his hand in a lot of different projects. So, I mean, you talk about naming Kenny Payne, you're going to have financial backing. That won't be an issue anymore. You'll be able to bring the top athletes in the country. It's going to be if it was anybody else that used to play for Louisville, but they didn't have that kind of stroke or pedigree, then I wouldn't be excited about it. But the fact that Kenny can do things that none of these other guys, these people that you all named that are unrealistic, the ones that are unattainable, the ones that just got big extensions because y'all are out there spitting their names in the same sentence as Louisville, where they don't belong in the same sentence as Louisville. Kenny's the guy that you can go all in on it. If it doesn't work, then in 4 years you can move away from him. And it's really you've rolled the dice just as much as you did with Chris Mack. I don't see any way how Kenny Payne has a worse 4 years than Chris Mack did. And that wasn't all Chris's fault. We had the pandemic and in the NCAA cloud, but Kenny Payne's going to come here. He's going to win some games. We're going to have some top 5 recruiting classes, and we're going to have fun. And that is why, in summation, Kenny Payne would work here.
I love that. That actually takes care of the third question.
Does it?
of what are the benefits that Kenny Payne can bring to the table? So
the
I
benefits
think
of Kenny Payne is, first off, his name rhymes with penny. So no, that doesn't actually work for me, because then people will say I'm trying to compare him to Kenny. So no, but yeah, that's pretty much it. He's been a name. He was a national champion for all the. Oh, we don't want no Kentucky fellers. He was a Cardinal first. There's been so many. That's just like, for me, not to get off on a tangent, but a lot of people in the city are mad at Perrin Johnson. He's another friend of mine, because he covers Kentucky for part. He was doing a TV show for UK base, but that's how the man. Trust me, he wanted to work for Louisville, but the powers that were in command at that time wouldn't hire him for any of the jobs. So is he supposed to sit home and starve? No, he's got to work, and that was the closest place to where he lived at that would hire him, and they hired him. So does he get on the radio sometimes and sound like he's more fair to Kentucky than we would be? Absolutely, but that's only because A, he's not here. He's not from here. He's from Southern California. B, he loves Louisville, but he covers Kentucky for a living as well. So, man, cut him some slack, because he's a good dude. I love that dude. He's like a brother, and he takes a lot of crap from people that are just are unwilling to take the fan goggles off and give him a fair shake. So, there you go, Perry. Don't say I never didn't do anything for you.
I love those answers. 3 better answers that I could probably give. But
Perrin,
that's going to wrap up.
250.
It's been a nice half of an hour, as always, with Jeremy. Jeremy, the floor is yours. Give us any lasting thoughts, any parting thoughts.
All right. Well, first off, baseball season starts Friday.
PG-13 rated thoughts.
Okay. Baseball season starts Friday. You can check out our game versus Charlotte on 93.9 The Ville. This is not a promotion for them, but that's where you can catch it at 2 p.m. Baseball season starts, and then we play Saturday versus South Florida, Sunday versus Connecticut, and then we will host our first game here in Louisville on Tuesday the 22nd. I'm not sure if they're still doing the whole non-conference games or free thing, and the conference games cost. I will get some clarification on that. But man, Tuesday at 3 o'clock. I'm not going to be home, and I never miss an home opener, man. That sucks, but it is what it is. But then we've got plenty of home games to start off the season after we play in that little tournament in Florida. But we got Xavier and Dartmouth, and then Morehead State and Akron. We play like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then Michigan. Wait a minute, are these all home games? Yes, we don't play.
Yeah,
we have an away game till March the 25th.
Good amount of home games. It's crazy.
All right, so here, just real quick, because you asked me to be real quick. Here's after we get back from our 3-game stint in Florida, we've got Xavier at home. We got a 3-game stand against Dartmouth at home. We got Morehead State for the Tuesday game, Akron for 3 at home, TCU, that'll be a good one on Tuesday. 3 versus Michigan at home. Northern Kentucky for the midweek game, followed up the very next day with a midweek game by Bellarmine. We don't normally do the Tuesday, Wednesday thing. And then I think we end our home stretch there with we host Notre Dame. That's probably the number 1 team in the ACC coming to Jim Patterson Stadium for a 3-game stretch. Then we got Lipscomb, and then we go on then we go on like a 2-week away stretch there too. All right, so also what I want to do is, I know that our friend, I do the wrestling podcast, Ringside Podcast. I want to give them a shout out. Impact Wrestling is coming to town the first weekend in March. I want to say is that the 3rd and the 4th. They're going to do TV tapings and a pay-per-view taping that weekend. The weekend before that, they're going to have a couple of wrestlers come up to Four Pegs for a meet and greet. I do believe they're trying to get the Impact Women's Knockout Champion Mickie James, and then Moose. I think they're both supposed to be there. Stay tuned to our website, and I'll talk about that more next week probably as well. Last but not least, I have been learning a hard lesson these last few weeks with my smoke detectors. They were going off the entire time I was in St. Louis. Bless my neighbors' hearts. They had to deal with it for 3 straight days. But this morning I got woke up at 4 a.m. I was up from 4 a.m. to 8:30. I'm ready to go to bed. I'm glad you invited me on here. But if you haven't changed it, apparently now the smoke detectors are only look. We've attacked a little bit of everything here: fashion, food. Now I'm doing fire safety. They're only built to last about 10 years now. So if you don't want to be annoyed, oh my God, dude, I was so mad this morning. I was like, every time it went off every 30 minutes for 4.5 hours. And eventually I just came downstairs because that's where the reset button was. But the first 2 times it went off, I stood up. I was swinging at the air. I was so angry. But yeah, change your smoke detectors out every 10 years. I'm done.
That is a lot of free pub that Jeremy just gave in the past couple minutes. But that's going to wrap up this Wednesday edition of the show. Everyone have a great day, and we will see you right back here on the show tomorrow.